This meeting is held in compliance with Brown Act rules relating to telephonic and video conference meetings. SCAG offices are open for members of the public to attend and participate in person. Instructions for providing public comment have been provided in advance and are also included in the agenda packet. If a member of this body is attending remotely but is not at a location specified on the agenda, they may observe and comment as a member of the public, but may not participate in any member discussion or voting of this body. For all members participating remotely, please ensure your microphone is muted when not in use. Please state your name during deliberations and whether making a motion or offering a second. Any voting member or member of the public calling into this meeting by telephone can press *6 to mute and unmute. All telephone participants should identify themselves prior to speaking. SCAG encourages all members of the public to participate in its meetings. We are committed to holding meetings accessible to people with disabilities. For members of the public requiring ADA accommodation, please call 213-630-1420. SCAG offers free interpretation services. For members of the public needing information in another language, please call 213-236-1895. The meeting will now begin.
Today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. The meeting of the Executive Administration Committee is now called to order. We're going to have Larry lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
Thank you. Please join me as we salute the flag that represents our republic. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Maggie, we do have a quorum at this point.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Sounds good. Thank you. We have a public comment period. Comments received prior to the meeting and comments for matters not on the agenda. Do we have anything written at this? Nope. Anybody in the audience for a public comment? Nothing on something not on the agenda. Seeing none. Nothing by email. We now close the public comment period for matters not listed on the agenda. Anybody want to review or prioritize the agenda today? There's only a few items, so I think we're okay. And first off, it's an information item for Regional Early Action Planning Grant 2021. That's going to be Colin Comey to present the item. Well, we'll get to the agenda. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our EAC meeting. The first item on the agenda is information item on the Regional Early Action Planning Grant Program 2021, which we call REAP 2.0. If you would recall, early in the year in January, the governor's budget had proposed to cut the program in half, which would have done some major violence to our program already approved by the Regional Council. We're glad to report that most of those resources have been restored in the final budget that was adopted by both the legislature and signed by the governor. And so we want to thank all who had a hand or participated, our grantees, our partners, members of this body, members of the Regional Council. Many of our stakeholders had a hand in collective advocacy effort that helped to convey the value of the REAP program as the Regional Council had already approved. The approved state budget included a reduction of approximately $14.5 million in REAP resources to the SCAG program. Even with that reduction, glad to report that we're able to still fully fund all of the sub-allocation that the Regional Council had approved up until before the governor's proposal in January. So both the competitive and the formula grants that Regional Council approved will be fully funded. How we're able to do that is we're able to defer some of the work that would have been SCAG related in the program so that we would fully fund all the resources that were going out to our stakeholders. Since the formal approval of the state budget, we've reached out to grantees, and we're now moving forward with activities to restart all the work. We've since rescinded the stop work order that I put in place when we had uncertainties, and we're currently focused on finalizing scopes of work, executing MOUs, and initiating project work. So there's no action to be taken because we're not revisiting the approvals that the Regional Council had made. We're able to fully fund all those projects. So we're just here to report the good news and thank you all for your part in the advocacy. We'll be glad to take any questions or comments.
I think we'll start off with public comments. Seeing none, anything online?
No comments online, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'll start first, we'll open it up. I want to say thank you, Comey. Thank you for the legislative team and thank for all the members who spent their time going up and knocking on doors. I think at the beginning, we were hoping to get half if we were lucky with the way the budget was and with all the different cuts throughout the different departments. I think it's nothing short than hard work miracle by everyone who put the efforts in to go up. So good job, Javier and team back there. And for all the members went up, good job, Comey. Anybody else want to say something on it too? Very good, very good. We'll move on to our first action item, action number 2, which is the 2024 Executive Administrative Committee Retreat Update. And we'll start off with calling Comey again to present the item.
All right. Mike. Again, this is an action item which requires your approval. On June 27 and 28 this year, the President Hagman convened the EAC in Ontario. This is an annual offsite convening of the EAC where our presidents get a chance to discuss strategic priorities for the year ahead. There were four areas of conversation that we had during this meeting that I'd like to report quickly on. Actually, there are 5 areas of conversation that I would like to report quickly on. The first is the board employment classification. This was an issue that came to us where we were faced with having to reclassify board members as employees, as W-2 employees of SCAG, as opposed to the contract position where we had 1099 designation to the board. We were able to pull together a number of legal opinions, and legal counsel presented this, and our recommendation back to the board was that we continue to treat SCAG board members as independent contractors, which the EAC agreed to. They agreed with us on that. The second item, we discussed some emerging issues that we saw in the horizon as a regional agency looking out for our entire region, and there were 3 key emerging issues that were discussed. Annie Nam discussed transportation finance, Elizabeth Carvajal discussed housing, and then Sarah Jepson discussed the sustainable community strategy. On transportation finance, we reported that there is a 10-year assessment that's being done right now at the state level that's basically anticipating about a $200 to a $300 billion deficit in funding for transportation as we look at a 10-year horizon. In our work at SCAG in Connect SoCal, we had estimated that in the planned period that we were looking at, we expected a $93 billion loss of revenue over the life of Connect SoCal 2024. And so this really, the conversation was intended to focus on what we need to do in terms of new strategies as we look out into the future, what would happen to our financing of transportation projects. In our plan, we would call for new strategies in Connect SoCal on how we fill that gap to fund our $752 billion program. That included beginning to think about mileage-based user charges on the roadway, congestion pricing, among other things. And we had also talked about looking to allow local agencies to have some of those capacities. But in the vein, the point of discussion was what the next steps were going to be, understanding that these things were not going to happen immediately. And our focus in the very near future will be to work with stakeholders and the state and the federal government, how we bring this conversation to the fore, understanding that the loss of revenue is imminent over time, and we're beginning to see some of that capacity being eaten away. Quickly on housing, we talked about the issues that we're facing. We have a housing crisis in the region, and we are also understanding that our role at the regional agency is to really support our member agencies, all local agencies that are involved in enabling housing to happen. And the beginning points of that is really having a good planning process for housing production ultimately. And so we put all of our efforts into that. In fact, that's the point of the REAP 2.0 program we just talked about. And so that's going to continue to be one of the focal areas of our operations at SCAG. We're also anticipating helping where we can the 27% of our jurisdictions that still have housing elements that are deficient. And so we'll continue to bring back to you, and you'll see in the presidential priorities that there is some focus on housing as well. The third area being sustainable community strategy. We presented to this group on the aging, I'd say aging of SB 375, which established the SES process, the Sustainable Community Strategy process, and a need to revisit the SES process as the state begins to now have a conversation about updating the targets, the GHG emission targets that were part of the SB 375 process. And so we wanted to just intimate the group, the board with those activities, understanding that those will become major activities for us at SCAG as we work with our colleagues across the NPO land on working with the state on addressing those targets. The third area of conversation was an evaluation of the 2024 Regional Conference and General Assembly. Our GA this year, I believe, was probably the best, obviously the best that I have ever been at, and I've been at 7 of them already. And I dare say maybe the best ever. But that's just my opinion. And I think it might count for something. Because we did in fact get some feedback that majority of the attendees found that it met or exceeded their expectations. And attendees were very appreciative of the content of the event as well as the opportunities for networking. The EAC discussed this a little further, and we got some feedback from the EAC on how we might extend or expand the opportunities for networking, and we're taking all of those into consideration as we think of next year's General Assembly and Regional Conference, which will be the 60th anniversary of SCAG. The fourth item we talked about of 5 is the presidential priorities for 2024-2025. And in looking at the presidential priorities, building on the accomplishments of the 23-24 year, which is attachment 1 on page 18 of your agenda. We got the emphasis from the President Hagman, emphasized the need for SCAG to play a leadership role on emerging technologies across all policy areas. And so while we might be extending and continuing the priorities from the previous years on transit recovery, goods movement, clean transportation, of course, housing still continues to be focal. There will be a sort of a highlight of the role of technology and innovations in those priority areas. And so if you look on page 20, where we have attachment 2, it shows the regional council outlook, and on the outlook you would see what's been scheduled for conversation at the regional council, being very infused with this idea of technology along those priorities. The last item that was brought to discussion at the EAC retreat was the revision to regional council meeting schedule and the resumption of in-person regional council meetings. In-person RC meetings was discussed, and with intent that we would start in-person RC meetings in September. As a result, we were also there was also discussion about making the attendance count, and so moving the EAC meeting that usually happens on Wednesday before the RC Thursday day to move the EAC meeting to 9 a.m. On the RC day. And that's the outline of that is on page 21 of your agenda. And that sort of concludes my quick summary of the EAC retreat. Mr. President, I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you. I'm just going to piggyback on that. I want to thank everyone who came out to EAC, the retreat, and to give input. A couple other programming notes, I guess what I call them, is we have our subcommittees, our transportation such before. And what we usually hear, if you're on more than one, if you're on the transportation and you go to RC, a lot of times you hear the same information or whatever committee you're on. So we want the meat and the potatoes of the work done in the subcommittees. And then when we get to the RC, it'd be a summary. And I wanted to have the chairs report out of those meetings and to say, hey, this is what we hit. RC has to vote on a lot of this stuff, but I'm hoping that they're advertised in advance. So if you want more policy discussion, you go to those committees, have the policy discussion. When we get to RC, we do the action items on them. More of a, here's a quick review of what we did in this committee, and we're coming out, and then we have the vote on it. So we can do more of a larger group or a larger body with the regional council to talk about different issues. Take care of the business early for those who have to catch Metro or wherever the case may be. And then that's when we put some of these more discussions on our speakers afterward. So those who can stay, that want to really feel like they want to dig into a subject at the RC meeting, we're able to do that. So I know the team's been working on getting some subjects listed, but it's a little bit of change of how we've been doing things. But if you're on EAC in a sub meeting and then RC, you're not going to hear the same thing, hopefully 3 times, or at least not the same exact report out. Maybe the summaries of it when we need to take action items. But I want to thank for all the input. I know probably the most controversial is going back in person, and we talked about that at the retreat. And I still believe it today that we'll have more participation when we're here together. We'll have more robust discussions when we're here together, and realizing that the RC members represent sometimes multiple cities, that you're that representative. That's 10 meetings this year. It's important that we're there together. And I had the staff check on attendance and participating Zoom versus in person. And we actually had more people show up in person before COVID than we had during Zoom meetings since participation rate. So I think it's something that some people are not going to like, but at the same time, I think it's important for the organization to hear all the views from all the regions of SCAG. We talk about policy issues. So we'll try it out. Luckily, there's only 8 more left because you shortchanged me this year as president, and we'll figure out what the next president wants to do and see how it works out. But I think that starts Darren, in September. So, but thank you all for that participation in the retreat. Any comments from anybody at this point on this? Yeah, Mayor Lock-Dawson.
Hi, thanks, Chair Hagman. So, I'm the chair of the legislative committee, and we now meet on Tuesdays, like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just wondering if I see we've got a big gap between the EAC meeting and the regional council. I'm wondering if maybe we want to put an email out to our ledge committee and see if they're available to meet between 10 and 12 on that Thursday.
And all the subcommittees can still meet. The policy meetings can meet remotely. So we're still not putting that in. It's just strictly the RC meeting. Yeah.
But okay.
So you can change the time whatever you want. You're the chair.
I know. Well, the thing is, I'm going to be there in person and that's why I thought maybe the folks might want to do it. So maybe we could do that. But I will thanks for that empowerment, Chair Hagman. I will send an email out to my group and see what their thoughts are. And Wendy Buckman's in there, so she might have something to say. Thanks.
If I could just clarify though, Mr. President, the schedule would be the EAC at 9 a.m. and the policy committee meetings would be from 10 to 11:45. So there wouldn't be a gap on that first Thursday of the month, followed by the regional council at 12:15.
Sounds good. I'm gonna put Mayor Karen Bass on the spot since she's joining us today. Thank you for joining EAC and thank you for being on our committee with us.
Well, I appreciate that, Chair Hagman. I do want to slip and call you Assemblymember Hagman, but we did serve in the state legislature together, and I appreciate you inviting me to participate. And then I see a couple of mayors who I interact with a lot. Mayor Sandoval, we serve on the Metropolitan MTA board together, and then our wonderful mayor from Riverside, who was just speaking. We serve on a committee together, and soon she's going to be taking over that committee as well. So I will call you, Chair Hagman, and I'll ask you to give me a little more orientation to SCAG. Let me know about all that is going on and how I can participate and be helpful to the process. But I'm honored to be here, honored to participate with you.
Well, I may slip and call you either speaker or congresswoman too. So we'll have our own little problems there all the time. But we want to reach out to you, get on your schedule. The ZEC team would come out and just let you know all the wonderful things SCAG's doing and how
Great.
get part of it.
Great. I would appreciate that.
Thanks. Wendy.
There we go. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you very much for the great report. And I do see on the Outlook coming up that we're going to have a presentation in February on the Summer Olympics. But I wonder, because I know that Comey and I believe Mayor Bass, as well as maybe others, or a contingent, maybe not Comey. I was hoping it was you, Comey, are going to the Olympics. And Mission Viejo is sending a contingent because we are having we're going to be partnering with Netherlands. They're going to be using Mission Viejo as a training base. That's a very early agreement, so not fully official. So I wonder if we could, in September on the agenda, just get a synopsis of what transpired. And maybe that's too early, but I thought it would be exciting if we could get an update, maybe under the staff report of what transpired while at the Olympics.
Absolutely. I know the Mayor Bass has got.
Well, I was going to say, Mayor Bass, that we're here as SCAG to support in many different ways as your metropolitan planning organization. And the sooner we get engaged with your team and what responsibilities, probably the better. And we have a whole team here and many of the cities. I know I got Sydney Allen on too. I know she has a lot of your venues and we're hoping to get one in our area, but we would love to coordinate with your team and your staff as soon as we can. But I'll let you respond to Wendy.
Sure, absolutely. I would be happy to do that because I think that, you know, the Olympics coming and remember, the Olympics is 2028, but we have the World Cup coming. We have all of these other events coming. And I think that, to me, my view of it is we all need to participate and benefit. We want to promote our entire region. We want people to know about the businesses in your area and all around. I think that is going to be so, so important. I was there for the opening last week, and I'm actually going back again for the closing ceremony where I'll participate as Mayor Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, will hand me the flag, and then the closing of the Paralympics. So one of these days I'll actually be able to tour the city because I'm just there strictly for business and right back. I didn't feel I could stay because you know how it is. You don't want the press to say you're just there, you know, partying. It's business 100%. So I will be happy to share whatever I know and to figure out how we all benefit from these activities coming up.
And I was going to say, we plan to try to do an after action at some point in the future with maybe your team, your staff, go meet the officials who the pros, the cons, what we would do different, those type of
Oh.
things at a later date after the Olympics, after the Paralympics as well.
You know what? Let me tell you that what I asked, I was there in March and I met with Mayor Hidalgo, who was just absolutely wonderful. And she opened up her whole staff for us. Well, I asked her staff to come to LA in October. And I would be happy to invite you to participate to that after action from their perspective as well, not just ours who were there, you know, kind of witnessing. So absolutely, I'll let you know the dates. We'll figure out how to make that happen, maybe have a reception here, you know, where you could meet them, but then a substantive review for you, most definitely.
That sounds wonderful, Comey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mayor. I think for sure, because just to remind the board, you approved for travel to Paris as part of the observation team, and we have 2 of our staff members going to that, and they will be coming back with some reporting. So I think to Member Bucknam's point, we should be able to report out at least initially on what we gathered from that. And of course, we're looking at this from the region's role in supporting the Olympics and doing what we can to enable us to have the best games possible. We also understand that we have a little bit of a runway to plan for this. And so the interactions with the Paris Olympics folks will be longer term than just this initial contact that we make with them.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for the updates. Art.
Yeah, just a comment on the change of meeting times. Talked to a number of my RC members in the Orange County region. They're not happy with the way it happened just overnight. They would have wished that we'd had a meeting in September of the RC meeting where they could have discussed it a little more. It's very laudable to go back to the full meeting. I nudged a little bit last year and it got a lot of kickback then. But I think, you know, we're gonna have a lot of unhappy RC members. I just wish we'd been a little bit slower. It's not a military unit where it can pivot on a dime and do something else. It's a lot of A personalities out there that don't like change much, but I think they would have liked to have been able to discuss it before the change. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll hear more in September. Okay, so this is item 2. The action item we're doing is for the schedule. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jenny. I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Sorry, before we, just a question, can we get a little bit of clarification on when we talked about having the policy chairs report out, what that process will be and what that's supposed to look like, right? Like, is it just saying this is the action and we agree with it, or is there more?
It's, I'm hoping to give you like 5 minutes or so, depends how busy your committee is, but to kind of say, hey, we just had, you know, the policy committee on transportation. These are the 4 things we discussed. They all went out unanimously. They're on the packet here. Instead of going through the same presentation in the one committee, then bring it out in RC again, is I really want hopefully the meat and potatoes of the policy discussed in the policy meetings. That's what they should. It's called policy meetings. And the regional council, almost like a consent, but not necessarily, you know, we can always pull it off as RC members because maybe not all the RC members are on it, but I'm hoping to get them to participate in the policy committees. And that's where the experts that are on particular policies are discussing the items and not have some of the big wars we've had in the actual RC later. It's like, well, this is on here or whatever, but it'd be more of a part out. This is what we're working on today, or this is what we're working on next month. Here's our goals for this year, whatever you get your time to speak as chair of the committee.
And just to Member Crosswhite's point, we will work, this committee staff will work with the chairs to make sure we have you prepared for those reporting. So
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll make sure you're prepared. So sounds good. So with it's okay with Ruben or council, since it's only in the calendar, can we add that to a bigger vote later? Or do you want one?
Certainly. I mean, it's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, with indulgence of the committee, we have items 3 through 7. I want Darren to kind of speak and not necessarily pull, but speak on 2 of the items, because I never like to look at travel being like buried in a consent item. We have 2 travel items for budget, and 5 and 6, and then we could do 2 through 7 on one vote since we have remote members. Does anybody have any problems with that? And we'll take public comments on all those items at once for the rest of, because we already took it, well, did we take it on 2 yet? Anybody else wants to, yeah, we did on 2, I think. So if that's okay, I have Darren report out on 5 for travel and 6 on travel, just a little bit of what's going on. And that way, you know about it.
Sure. Good afternoon, Darren Jitsi, your Chief Operating Officer. As the President mentioned, there are 2 authorizations for international travel per SCAG's policies. Any international travel involving the board or staff does need to go to the Regional Council for approval. And you, as the EAC, are considering that approval on behalf of the Regional Council today for both of these trips. The first one, as was referenced earlier, for the past several years, there's been a focus at the president's level, both under Art Brown and continuing under President Hagman, to focus on transportation technology and clean transportation technology initiatives. This certainly was showcased in the recent adoption of our Connect SoCal long-range regional transportation plan. This trip is particularly focused on looking at transportation electrification in a number of European cities, particularly in London, Oslo, and Munich. It's being hosted by LACI, which is the LA Clean Tech Incubator. They are bringing together leaders from throughout the state to explore and look at different EV technology strategies that have been successful, as well as other ways to improve air quality in urban centers. And that trip is 10 days, and we are proposing one regional council member to be accompanied by up to 2 staff members on that trip, with the goal to help bring knowledge to what is going on in Southern California in these issues, as well as to learn from those that we will be meeting with on that trip as well.
And I twisted my Vice President, Cindy Allen's arm to have to make her go to this trip. And she's been fighting it, but she's going to take one for the team, right, Cindy?
The second,
I'll take, but I'm very excited. Thank you for the opportunity.
the second trip is to participate in the ITS World Congress in Dubai. ITS is an organization that's also focused on transportation and technology. We are members of ITS, and Kome just most recently joined the board of ITS America. Their conferences are very well known and very well attended for the breadth of knowledge that they bring together on global issues around transportation and technology. Both the President Hagman as well as Kome have been invited to share their expertise as speakers at the conference. And so we are asking for your approval as well for travel to that conference so they could participate in those speaking roles. Happy to answer any questions. Budget items are within the report. They are certainly approximate, but give a good sense about what expected costs would be, so that approval and reimbursement would be made on the actual basis.
Thank you, Darren. Any questions or comments on items 3 through 7 at this point? Any public comments? Anybody?
Move the item for approval.
2 through 7?
Yes.
2 through 7?
Second.
We got a motion and second. Items 2 through 7. Roll call vote.
Can I
Please.
confirm who made the second?
Art.
Let's see.
Cindy Allen,
Aye.
Art Brown,
Mr. President,
Aye.
I apologize. You have a receive and file as 8 and 9. That's going to require a report by Mr. Raldo, and I will stop talking. Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize.
I'll proceed with the roll call, Mr. President. Wendy Bucknam,
Aye.
Jenny Crosswhite,
Aye.
Kurt Hagman,
Hagman, aye.
Jen Harnett,
Yes.
Mike Judge,
Yes.
Patricia Lock Dawson,
Aye.
Ray Marquez,
Yes.
Andrew Maciel, Larry McCallan,
Yes.
Rocky Rhodes,
Yes.
Tim Sandoval,
Yes.
David Shapiro,
Yes.
Jose Luis Solache.
Yes.
Mr. President, the motion for item 2 and the consent calendar passes with 15 votes, 0 votes no, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to information items, receiving file items. Number 8, Cindy, 8 and 9, actually. We'll give you both, all the money parts.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. Given the discussion we've had on REAP 2, I think you're all pretty aware of the work that's been going on here at SCAG. Over the next few months, we look forward to executing about 70 MOUs, funding over 100 projects throughout the region. So that's certainly exciting work that we're looking to get accomplished in the months to come. On the heels of those REAP 2 agreements, we'll be moving right into the execution of our 2024 SCP call for active and transportation safety projects. In case your agencies are looking at that call, the applications are due Friday, September 27th. And again, we're looking to be awarding those or executing MOUs for those probably around the beginning of the calendar year. In addition to the work on our local resources programs, we're also continuing our work on our year-end audit for fiscal year 2024. And as well as the Caltrans audit continues to be ongoing, although we believe we are near the end of the field work and are hoping to receive a final report soon. Of course, once we receive that, we'll be sharing it with the audit committee. So that concludes my comments for this report. So thank you.
Is that on both the 8 and 9?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Any questions? Yeah. Seeing none at this point, nothing raised, nothing online, Maggie? No. Thank you. We'll move on. We have received reports out from the CFO again, our Chief Financial Officer, and then myself, and then Comey. So Cindy, you want anything more? That was at 8 and 9?
Yeah.
And your CFO report. Yeah. That was very efficient.
Yeah.
Especially for an accountant. I mean, usually we talk a lot more. Yeah.
On 8,
Yes.
please. We have where it says the background, it gives us the background and it's for more than 5,000, but less than 500,000. And then we jump down to the end of that list and we have $2,795,925.
Happy to address that one.
Thank you.
I want to start by apologizing because that item shouldn't be listed in the report. As you stated, it's not within those thresholds. This is really an administrative purchase order. Our annual rent agent is our rent here for this building. We create a purchase order to fund our annual expenses. It's not a new contract. It's not a new purchase by any means. This is our existing contract. That is approximately the cost of how much we'll spend over this next fiscal year for our contract, but that includes more than just our rent. It includes operations and maintenance, security, and utilities for this building as well. And that is what that represents. And I do apologize for that oversight on my part of having that included.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the CFO report? If not, I'll briefly give my president's report. We have registrations now open for the 2024 Southern California Demographic Workshop presented by SCAG and Sol Price School of Public Policy at that other school called USC. This year, the event's September, UCLA has a great public policy school. Okay, just to let you know, you can go outside the city for that. This year's event is on September 24th from 9 to 3 at SCAG's main office downtown Los Angeles, and will also be available to attend online. This year's event is called Navigating the New Growth Reality and looks at how changing population and growth rates affect regional planning. You can register on SCAG's website, and we hope to see everyone at that event. And just a calendar note, like we brought up, the next EAC will be at September 5th at 9 a.m. And we'll turn over to Comey.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we do recognize there are a lot of good policy schools across the land that we recruit from, besides those two. I want to quickly inform all that we opened applications to our Sustainable Communities program. Active Transportation and Safety Call was open in July 8th, and the call will be open through September 27th. This is where we have about $10.4 million available to be awarded to projects that meet the requirement of that call. This call will fund community plans, area plans, quick build projects that implement things that we already have identified in Connect SoCal to meet the mobility goal of the region. Staff is holding office hours Monday through Thursday to provide support during the application process, but to also help with final application workshop on August 7th. So please have your staff or anybody who's interested sign up at the website on this project. We anticipate that we will announce awards by the December board meeting, December of 2024. I had been reporting regularly to you about the issues that we were faced, the potential that we had faced potential highway sanctions, given the issues that were between the South Coast Air Quality Management District and the US EPA. Glad to report that that's been resolved. I think there was a lot of work that went into it. Want to thank all of those that stayed with it and created the agreement that allowed us to have a sustained collaboration across local, state, and federal levels to ultimately find ways to reduce emissions from all sources in our region and to avoid this potential impact on projects in our region with highway sanctions, which would have delayed billions of dollars in transportation investments, especially as we face the need to improve our system and get ready for big events that are coming along. So we're very glad to have dodged that bullet. SCAG has been engaging with the EPA and AQMD for about a year plus on these issues, and we're just really happy that we're where we are today, and ultimately looking forward to working on these challenging issues with solutions in mind. Along those lines, we were also glad to receive some really great news from the EPA that we would be getting about $50 million. Well, actually, $50 million in climate pollution reduction grant monies. That's part of a larger $500 million package that was awarded to the AQMD. And some of that detail, we'd send out information to you. I don't want to necessarily repeat all that information. I think you might have seen some notes on that. We're also glad to have received $1 million from Caltrans from their Sustainable Planning Grant Program. And this is to help fund projects on main streets. And we're looking forward to being able to work with our communities on improvements to several highways in the SCAG region that double as community main streets, such that we can make those streets livable and also more agreeable to active transportation and pedestrian activities. We had a major component of our Connect SoCal 2024 is a project list. And every time we do a Connect SoCal, we have to make sure that the transportation improvement program that goes with it is also consistent. There's a consistency requirement. And so we just went through a comment period on the 2025 draft FTIP, and as well as the Connect SoCal Amendment 1 comment period. Since Connect SoCal's adoption, some of these projects that were in the plan have experienced time-sensitive technical changes. And in addition to county transportation commissions, we had to reevaluate some of those priorities. And the FTIP, the 2025 FTIP, and the amendment to Connect SoCal also needed to be brought forward very quickly. And so that was done, and will be now recirculating for the public for review and comment through August 12th. We conducted a couple of public hearings already in July. And as we gather that input, we will hopefully bring that back to the board for adoption and submittal to Caltrans by the September 30 deadline before us. And I think, well, I think the last thing I have to report is we were proud to be part of a couple of press events in the last week when Secretary Buttigieg was in town to highlight some projects that improve air quality in our region. One had to do with a project at the port, and member McCollum was there. It was a really major event that we had been looking forward to for a long time in this region, where we would have the opportunity to increase our mode shift in the freight side of the world, where we move more freight movement from trucks to rail, which would afford us a lot of emission savings in our region. And so it was really gratifying to see that project kicked off with the presence of Secretary Buttigieg and a number of other celebrities in the policy world that we live in. And then lastly, we joined Mayor Bass at the Coliseum for the launching of work that would enable us to have clean transportation for the Olympics that are coming up. And so those two events happened on the same day last week. That's all I have to report. Be glad to take any questions, Mr. President.
Any questions? Any announcements? And seeing none? If not, thank you all for attending. We'll see you next month. Ready?